Quarterback is reading whether to give to the dive back on inside veer, and then the tight end is blocking out on the outside linebacker. Now, our outside linebacker has got to understand that when he gets that, he still must take his hands, get on that tight end, who's really giving him a base block. The seal block, the block is basically a seal block. He's going to squeeze him back into the hole. And the biggest problem is that kid will want to jump back inside thinking that he has to take the quarterback from there. We're only going to take the quarterback if he comes outside of you. When we get 5 solid, that's going to present us with another problem. And what we're going to get on 5 solid is we're going to get a down block by the tight end, and now the halfback, a running back, is going to come and try to seal your defensive end in so the quarterback can run around him. This is a very difficult play. In some states, you can't block below the waist, so therefore the block doesn't take place in a lot of offenses. But if you're getting it, when you get that down block, your outside linebacker has got to understand when that back comes to him to try to seal him in, he has got to take him on with the inside arm, rip through him, and he still has quarterback. So in the 50 angle defense, you have got to make sure that you take time every day and try to get it done during the summer, working with your kids on any type of option play that a team might have. I probably should take a second to just say if we get speed option. Now, if we were to get a speed option, we are a feather defensive team. Now, there's different theories of thought here. Some theories of thought is when you get speed option, have your outside backer attack that quarterback immediately. He'll pitch the ball, you make the pitch happen, and therefore all you've turned it into is a toss sweep. We would rather feather. We like to feather, and we think our kids are good enough athletes that we can keep it so that we can step inside and take a quarterback if he cuts up. If he pitches the ball, we can turn and run down the sideline, and we can help out on the tackle on the perimeter. We also think that if we feather it, that gives the rest of our defense more time to show up for the play to help out. We're just opposed to simply firing that outside backer down and taking the quarterback out of the play. Now, I'm sure there could be instances where we're playing a team who just simply has a superior quarterback who is so good that you do not want to give him the opportunity to make something happen by feathering him, so therefore you would do it. But we have not done that so far. Now, let's take a second and let's look at our split side alignments, assuming that we have a split side. I should explain that if we have a double team, a double tight end team, we are facing an offense that is a double tight end offense. Both of our outside linebackers are going to play 9 technique or 6 technique. We are definitely going to flip-flop our players, and we are going to put our quicker, more active outside linebacker always to the wide side of the field. We are not opposed to flip-flopping our outside linebackers. We definitely want our better athletes to the wide side of the field. Now, if your outside linebackers are equal in talent, then you can probably play them one side. We just do not seem to run into that problem. We try to find one kid instead of 2. Okay, split inside alignments. If we have a split end to our side, our first alignment is what we call ghost. Our outside linebackers understand that if they get a ghost, they are in a ghost alignment. They line up exactly where they would be if there were a tight end to that side. They are up on the line of scrimmage. They have their inside foot up. They have their outside leg back. There is no tight end to key, so they will key into the backfield into the nearest back to them. If it's an I formation, they are going to key the tailback. So that is a ghost formation or a ghost alignment that our outside linebackers are going to play. Okay? Now, another alignment that they are going to play to the split side will be an eagle. And basically what happens that our kids do understand is that anytime we play a front where their defensive tackle moves down to a line in a 3 or a 2 technique, our outside linebacker knows that he has to compensate and he has to move down and play in a 5. Now, when our outside linebacker plays in a 5 technique on the outside shoulder of an offensive tackle, they play it exactly the same as if they were on a tight end. 5 technique blocks down, they're looking for a kick out by the guard, or they're looking for the near back coming to block them out. Nothing changes whether this outside linebacker is playing a 5 to the split inside or he were playing a 9 to a tight end side. Now, a technique that we do play quite a bit is what we call bullet. And our players probably love to bullet more than any other technique that we allow them to play. And we are basically going to bullet when we have a split inside. If they get in bullet, they're going to line up in a wide 5, and they're going to get down in a 3-point stance with their inside foot back, and they are taking off as if they were a bullet, aiming for the near back in the backfield. Basically with bullet, we are turning our kids loose and letting them just have fun and go attack. They are definitely in an attack mode. So we have ghost, we have eagle, and we have bullet. Now the other position which separates some of the kids is what we call walk away. Now walk away for our kids, when they are put in a walk away position, they know that they are going to line up 4 yards deep, basic 4 yards. Could be 4.5, could be 5, could be 6, depending on the down and the distance and the team we're playing. But they're going to line up off the line of scrimmage, halfway between the offensive tackle and the wideout. If there's 2 to that side, they would line up halfway between the offensive tackle and the number 2 receiver. Now, they also have to understand they still have run support. So a kid that's playing a walk-away outside linebacker, that kid for us normally is going to be a kid who is not as big, probably not as physical. He's playing there because he probably has some past defensive skills. But that kid is also going to have to be the type of kid that if run comes his way and he's in a walk-away, he will still have to go up and take on a 250-pound guard that's pulled out, or he might have to take on a 210 or 220-pound fullback that's coming out on the perimeter. So the kid still has got to be a hitter. Now, why do we want to play walk away? We want to play walk away to the split side to take away slant passes, hitch passes. We want to take away the passing attack to the weak side. If people give us a split in with no number 2 receiver, 95% of the time our outside linebacker is going to walk in a walk away. Now, there are times that we will line that kid up in a ghost, and as the quarterback starts his cadence, he will bail to a walk away. There's times that we will tell that kid, you're going to be in a bullet, and he will line up in a walk away. And as they start the cadence, he will walk up, and instead of getting in a 3, he will execute a bullet stunt from a 2-point stance. So the kids to the split inside, the outside backer getting the play to the split inside, has much more freedom to do things than the young man that's playing to the tight end, the heavy side, especially to a tight end and a wingback side. One other thing that we use, and this is in conjunction with our walk away, is we use what we call a squat, okay? Now, anytime we tell our outside linebacker, you are playing squat, he is going outside, head up on the line of scrimmage, on the split end. And this is basically, we use this to a 1 receiver side, normally to a split end. He is going to go out on that split end, he's going to line up toe to toe, nose to nose, and he is going to be as physical as he possibly can, and he is not going to let that split end get off the line of scrimmage. Now, you'd be surprised today how many teams that we're playing that are getting in the spread that have kids playing receivers that really don't want to play football. They want to play basketball on grass, is what it is. They're not physical kids. They want to go out there and not get dirty. They want to catch the ball and look good. we're going to take outside linebackers who are physical. We're going to go out there and we're going to line up, especially if that's the receiver we think might beat us, and we're going to squat on that receiver. Now, you have to understand, whether you are in walk or squat and you get option your side, you have pitch. So our kids understand, walk away, squat, option your way, you're going to have pitch. So to the split inside, we're going to give some different looks. The ghost, the eagle, the bullet, the walk away, and the squat. And the only one that's really dictated is the eagle. And as I said, we are going to definitely eagle anytime we've moved that front to the strong side. Okay, what we'd like to do right now is we'd like to go over again a progression that we use, because again, I keep really trying to emphasize the fact that we believe very strongly in teaching our kids one-on-one. We want to go the individual, group, and very little team. We feel like we have to teach it individually and correct them as they're making their mistakes. So we have some progression that we use as far as our outside linebackers are concerned that we deal with, okay? And I'm going to start out with the tight end side first. So if we come up here, and this just be bags to start off with, but we're going to put a tight end in here. We got a tight end in there. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put that defensive end out here. And I'll keep putting defensive end, although the topic of this conversation is outside linebacker play. Let's go ahead and change that. That's our outside linebacker. He is playing a 9 technique. 9 technique, outside shoulder of the tight end. We've already talked on the fact that where we want the 9 technique to be, and it may have to change. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to put a bag there. Our progression, we are going to go through a progression. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the down block, okay? That's the down. We're probably going to get the down block more than any other block that we're going to get during the course of a ball game by a tight end. Now, what does this kid have to do? Well, the first thing he has to do is he has to step with his inside foot. He's got his inside foot up, outside foot back. He's got to step, get his hands on this tight end, and he has got to keep his shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. You cannot let this outside linebacker turn and face in toward the center. Parallel is the key. Now, we want our kid to shuffle down, and we will do that drill where we will have the tight end blocked down at a dummy. Our outside linebacker will shuffle down, and we want hip to hip. The tight end will stop, and we expect our outside linebacker to end up hip to hip with this tight end, with his inside foot forward and his outside leg back. If they end up in any other position, we correct it and we do it over and over and over again. This, you have to get this down first in order to defeat the down block. Step down, shuffle down, close the hole, get your hands on this guy, keep him from destroying your defensive tackle. Now, once we feel like they have got that down, shoulders are parallel, shuffled down, their hole has been restricted, then we're going to go ahead and we are going to add a back. Now we could add that back there as a fullback, or we could move this back over here and we could have a dive back, or what you would refer to as a running back. They can be in either one of those two positions. But then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the down block by the tight end, and we're going to get a kick out block by the running back. Could be the running back, could be the fullback. Now, the cardinal mistake, the biggest error that this kid is going to make, he'll do everything correct. He'll step down, he'll close the hole, and what we end up with is we end up with this right here and our outside backer right here. He's done it. He's closed the hole. He's right on hip to hip with that tight end. Then he sits there and he allows this running back to build up speed and power and come and drive him out, okay? We want, after he stepped down and closed the hole, we want him to go attack the running back. We would really love for that outside backer to meet this running back in the backfield. Now, The key is, and I said it once before, I can't emphasize it enough. Now I would say probably 80 to 85% of the people using a 50 defense or using any defense in high school football today, the big thing is the wrong arm. And I am going to tell you, we do not wrong arm the football. If we get a kick out block by a running back on our outside linebacker, we are taking it on with our inside arm, keeping our outside leg and our outside arm free. We do not want to spill a running back running a 4.5 40 out to green grass over here. That's not our philosophy. We want to force all running plays to go back to our inside linebackers. So what you're going to get is you're going to get the kid that does it perfect, sets here and gets destroyed. Or you're going to get the kid that tight end blocks down, he doesn't step down and close the hole, but he will go attack, okay? So you got one or two of the others. You've got to get the kid to do both of them correctly in order for it to work, okay? Now, we tell our players that when that tight end blocks down and you step down to close that hole and you're hip to hip with him, if the offensive guard, play side guard, pulls to kick you out, he should run right past you and not even see you. He should not be able to find you, okay? And the kid that doesn't do this will end up upfield, and he's going to get kicked out very easily, and he's going to create a huge hole. So if you play it correctly and you step down and you slide down and you close it, the offensive guard that pulls will not be able to find you. Now, there's some give and take here. And I've said this once before. We play a team that does a tremendous job. And I'm going to put defensive end. It's a little easier for me. They do a tremendous job of doubling down, pulling a guard to kick out, and pulling the other guard to lead through the hole. And what we have experienced is we play it so well closing it down that this guard is so well coached by the other team, he logs us. And the other guard is so well coached that when he comes and he anticipates pulling up through the hole, when his teammate has logged us, he pulls around and he blocks on the perimeter. So I guess what I'm trying to explain to you is there is some give and take. You know, what do you want to give up? But we're willing to give up that in order to get the off tackle hole. We do not want people running off tackle on us. Now, I've already mentioned outside veer. Let's say it's out of split backs. Let's put what would be the entire defense in there. You're probably going to get a triangle block, something like this. Those three trying to take care of these two. And here they come on an outside veer path. We emphasized our kid, never let a back cross your face. He will step down when the tight end blocks down. Here will come a back. Even if the mesh is taking place right here, he will tackle the dive back. If he sees the quarterback pulling the ball out of the dive back's stomach, he will continue to tackle and drill the dive back. The cardinal error is to ever let this kid decide one way or the other. You cannot have that. And we don't tolerate it with our kids. If he tackles the dive back, and that guy runs for a 75-yard TD, this kid did exactly what he's supposed to do, okay? It's the time that he steps down, he sees the ball being pulled, he steps back out, and they leave it, and it's a 75-yarder. That's when we have problems. And that's when we're going to correct them. The waggle is a big play that we have to defend. Now let's do it to the tight end side. Okay, and we're seeing a lot of wing T teams. And let's say that you get tight end releases. He's in motion. They fake fullback, fake waggle, and the quarterback waggles back. Okay. Now normally what we get is we get guards pulling. Okay? Our defensive end has got to step down when the tight end releases inside, and then he has got to realize this guard is coming to seal him, and he has got to work to get back outside because our defensive end has contained on the waggle. And if you're facing a wing T team that runs the waggle extremely well, you're going to have to work with your defensive ends on how to deal with this offensive guard when he pulls on the waggle play. Now let's look at another play that we have to defend quite a bit. And what I'm trying to do here is if I could say one thing, it's find out the teams you have to play on your schedule, just exactly what they do. And then you have to coach your kids to defend that stuff. And you more than likely are going to have to do it during the summertime. You cannot wait till 3-a-days to start teaching your kids how to defend these things. It's got to be done in the summertime with helmets on or simply with no equipment on at all. But one of the things, when we face a team that has the potential for a quick pitch, okay, we know we're going to get a reach block on our defensive end. Our defensive end, outside linebacker, has got to defeat that reach block by that tight end. They're going to pull the tackle on our strong safety, and he has got to get off that block and get up here to help on that play. Now, what we find is that you'll get the young kids, when they go to reach them, they will do this. And a good team, this tight end will never reach that kid. But what he has done is he has opened up an alley from here to here, and that quick pitch, instead of coming around through here, will come right down through the alley. Again, you'll have a kid come off the field who you're going to have a conversation with, and he's going to say, Coach, the quick pitch did not get outside of me. I turned it back inside. And then you're going to have to say, yes, son, you did, but you turned it inside